Now, South Pacific and Finian's Rainbow were concerned with racial prejudice. The next two shows deal with two totally different sociological problems. Strangely enough, each revolves around a woman, one at the top of the social ladder, the other at the bottom. The first one might have been written today. The situations seem to be straight out of the pages of Cosmo or Ms., an unlikely amalgam of Gloria Steinem and Helen Gurley Brown. But it was written in the season of 1940-41, when America was busy holding its breath while a handful of gallant young RAF pilots held the fate of England in their hands. Never in the field of human conflict, said Winston Churchill, has so much been owed by so many to so few. But teenage America was happily into sloppy pants, bobby socks, and dirty loafers, and Joan Crawford had the biggest shoulders outside of the Teamsters Union. Penicillin was discovered, and a group of scientists really stretched themselves and came up with synthetic rubber. Joe DiMaggio had his 56-game hitting streak, and President Roosevelt struck out Wendell Willkie to win a third term. Our first big singing commercial, Pepsi-Cola Hits the Spot, was played 296,000 times at 5 cents a bottle. Academy Awards went to Joan Fontaine and Gary Cooper. Best Picture, How Green Was My Valley, and How Red Was Stalin's Face when Hitler backed out of their pact by invading Russia. But Moss Hart was on top of the Broadway totem pole after a dozen years of writing smash hit comedies with George S. Kaufman, 2 musicals with Irving Berlin, and 1 with Cole Porter. You see, Moss never dropped the name. He collected them. However, at this point he was writing Lady in the Dark and writing it alone. The subject was psychoanalysis. Now, in 1940, that was pretty daring. Analysis was talked about in whispers, like a social disease. And Moss's aim was to bring it out in the open, like premarital sex, and show that analysis is not for crazy people. A normal neurotic will do. He was planning a straight play in which, as part of the plot, the heroine tells her dreams to an analyst. But he soon realized that since dreams are kaleidoscopic and phantasmagoric, a great law firm, almost impossible to convey in dialogue, but music could do it, lyrics could do it. Lyrics can cover time and space in 4 lines, and music can change mood in 2 bars. Now, in silent pictures, even the pianist at local Bijou was given special music to give the people a feeling of mood and change of mood and locale. For instance, a bazaar in downtown Arabia. They went that away. George Washington chopping down a cherry tree. Italian opens fruit stand. German opens delicatessen. Chinese opens a laundry. Love affair goes sour. Brass band plays concert on the deck of the Titanic. But they can swim, and they land in Chicago. But as Julius Caesar used to hum, Calpurnia, here I come. So, the you see what music and lyrics can do in a very short space of time, and Moss Hart knew that too. So to do the dream sequences, Moss called Ira Gershwin and he called Kurt Weill, and together this brilliant trio of talents came up with a theatrical milestone, which in less gifted hands could have been a theatrical millstone. And together they evolved a new style, moving with the greatest of ease from modern opera to musical comedy to opera bouffe, simulating the mixed bag that dreams are. This casual lacing together of styles and the high literary quality of the book made Lady in the Dark one of the shows that turned musical comedy into a generic rather than a descriptive term. It is now called musical theater, which embraces everything from musical comedy to musical tragedy. So the straight play for Katharine Cornell was transformed into an elaborate musical starring the legendary Gertrude Lawrence, who said to me one summer night, "I was so hot today, I just had to take off my nail polish." And it helped to create a new international star, Danny Kaye. Well, you remember him. He's my husband. Lady in the Dark is the story of Liza Elliott, the severely tailored editor and boss lady of a big-time, high-fashion magazine and longtime mistress of its publisher, Kendall Nesbitt. For several months, she's been depressed and panicky, can't sleep, cries a lot, and can't make the smallest decision, like what to wear, whom to marry, or whether the next issue of the magazine should have an Easter cover or a circus cover. She finally consents to see an analyst and is stunned when he points out that while she avoids all the trappings of glamour in her daily life, in her dreams, she is the ultimate siren, as the incomparable Ira Gershwin put it. Compared to our Miss Liza, she's so glamorous, she makes all other women appear hammocker, schlammerous. The four men in her daily life all appear in her dreams, but they're strangely different. Kendall Nesbitt, her lover, is a head waiter. Randy Curtis, the movie star, is her lover. Charlie Johnson, her cocky and contentious Playboy advertising manager, is a preacher. And Russell Paxton, the gay fashion photographer, is a ringmaster. And now a scene in Liza's office, which leads into a dream sequence. Miss Lynn Redgrave as Liza, Mr. Richard Crenna as Charlie Johnson, and playing Russell Paxton, the part he created on Broadway, Mr. Danny Kaye.
Good morning, Liza. Charlie Johnson's waiting to see you.
Yeah, well, all right. You just give me a moment, please.
Girls? Girls? He's godlike, absolutely godlike. I mean, I have photographed beautiful men in my life before, but this one is the end, the absolute end. He's got a face that would melt in your mouth. He is heaven, absolute heaven.
Thank you, Russell. Have you got a minute, boss lady?
Not really. Can you wait?
Yes, but I'd like to settle it. It happens to be about the Easter cover. That old devil Easter cover. If you could just make up your mind and decide on a circus cover, I could get us a hell of a tie-up with Ringling Brothers.
Well, when must you know?
As soon as possible. I've got every big store in town set to splurge on circus ads. Would make a great issue.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you an answer as soon as I can. Is that all you wanted, Johnson?
Too bad you can't decide on that cover. I wanted to cinch that and leave in a blaze of glory.
Leave?
Got a better offer.
Where?
Town and country?
I'll meet it.
Afraid you couldn't.
Liza, I demand a showdown. An absolute, complete, and utter
now.
showdown.
I cannot talk to you now,
Do you
Russell.
realize what that bitch has done? She just calmly walked in, took my color plates after I spent 3 days putting the circus together.
Not now, Russell.
Not now. What is one supposed to do to get attention around here? Bleed in front of you?
Paxton.
Yes?
The dog department want to see you.
Oh, how darling of them. I just may spend the rest of my life there. Oh, if you have any luck with Sleeping Beauty, let me know. Really, Liza, I could spit.
All right, Johnson, I'll meet their figure. Does that settle it?
Look, it has nothing to do with salary. I'm taking less. But I can get the top job over there, and I'll never get it here. You married that desk years ago, boss lady, and you'll never get divorced. I know your kind.
Oh, do you really?
You have magazines instead of babies.
Yeah.
Rage is a pretty good substitute for sex, isn't it?
Get out!
Don't think it hasn't been charming. Oh, if we need a good man over there, I'll make you an offer. Easter cover. Circus cover. Easter cover. Circus cover. Make up your mind, make up your mind, make up your mind, mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride in introducing the greatest show on earth.
Liza Elliott's gargantuan three-ring circus, featuring for the first time the captivating and tantalizing Liza Elliott, the woman who cannot make up her mind. The charges against Liza Elliott.
What is all this? What charges? What for?
Whereas Liza Elliott cannot make up her mind about the Easter cover or the circus cover, secundo. Liza Elliott cannot make up her mind whether she is marrying Kendall Nesbitt or not. Moreover, Liza Elliott cannot make up her mind as to the kind of woman she wants to be, the executive or the enchantress. And inasmuch as in a world where tumult and turmoil reign, these indecisions of Liza Elliott only add to the confusion of an already, as indicated, confused world. Therefore, be it resolved that Liza Elliott be brought to trial and be made to make up her mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the death-defying trapeze artist and prosecuting attorney, Mr. Charlie Johnson.
I'm the attorney for prosecution. Can't be bought or sold. For the jam she's in, there's no solution once the story's told. Your Honor, Mr. Ringmaster, I would like to call that peerless witness and lion tamer, Mr. Kendall Nesbitt.
Kendall Nesbitt.
Mr. Nesbitt, you are divorcing your wife so that you can marry the defendant, isn't that so?
Yes, sir.
And you were led to believe that she would marry you when, as, and if?
Yes, sir.
But now she refuses to make up her mind.
Yes, sir.
You gave her the best years of your life, and yet she refuses to be your wife.
Yes, sir. Am I to understand that you gave her the best years of your life, and yet she refuses to be your wife? Yes, sir. He gave her the best years of his life. She was, shall we call it, his mistress. 'Twas only for her he's divorcing his wife, and now the man's in a distress. The mister who once was the master of two would make of his mistress his missus, but he's missed out on misses, for the mistress is through. What a mess of a mishmash this is.
Never her word. How on earth can a man betray him?
Charming, charming. Who wrote that music?
Tchaikovsky!
I love Russian composers. There's Malachevsky, Rubinstein, Arensky, and Tchaikovsky, Sapelnikov, Dmitriev, Cherevin, and Krishnanovsky, Godovsky, Artabuchuk, Bonayushka, Wakimenko, Soloviev, Prokofiev, Teyevkin, Gorishchenko, there's Glinkler, Winkler, Bortniansky, Rebekov, Felinsky, Metr, Valakirov, Zolotorov, and Koshinsky, and Sokolov, and Kopolov, Dukelsky, and Klanovsky, and Shostakovich, Boda, Dinglier, and Novakovsky, there's Lyudov, and Karganov, Barkevich, Panchenko, and Dargominsky, Cherbachev, Skriabin, Vasilyenko, Saravinsky, Rimsky, Korsakov, Kosorky, and Grachaninoff, and Glazunov, and Cesar Kuikalini, Kotnov, Mananov, Stravinsky, and Grachaninoff, Rumshinsky, and Rachmaninoff. I really have to stop. The subject has been quite a Paninoff, Grachaninoff, Rachmaninoff. We really ought to stop because we all have undergone enough.
Lady in the Dark brings back some marvelous memories, and I've persuaded Danny to come out here and share some of them with you. But while he's slipping into something more comfortable, let me tell you a few of my favorite Morse Hart stories. He was a very close and a very special friend, and he lit up our lives for many years. His endearing delight in finding ways to spend money on himself was legendary. I remember the time he went to Cartier's and had them make a plaster cast of his right hip so he could carry the contoured silver tobacco pouch in his back pocket. And it was inscribed, "To Morse Hart, a prince among men, from Morse Hart." And then he bought a farm, an 18-acre farm in Pennsylvania without a bush or a tree on it. 2 weeks later, when George Kaufman came to visit, he was astonished to see almost 1,000 fully grown pine trees looking very much at home. "I bought them," said Morse, "and had them transplanted." "Of course," said George. "It was what God would have done if he had had the money." Is Danny now on his way?
Yes, I'm back here. I'm fine. Okay.
You're a very talented villain.
Now, did you tell them all about Lady in the Dark?
Yes.
You did, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, we had some incredible people. There was Morse Hart. He went into Cartier's one day, and he said to them, "I would like to have my behind, you know, fitted." Well, Morse finally got successful, and he went out and he bought a farm out in Bucks County. And what he did is he started to... Well, good night. It was very fun.
Come back. Come back. Come back. I want you to tell about, if you will, about the opening night of Lady in the Dark in Boston. That was one of the most incredible nights of our lives. Would you tell about opening night?
Morse Hart put a plaster cast on his and painted a picture of Betsy Ross. You're hurting me.
Would you tell about opening night?
Opening night. Opening night. Opening night of Lady in the Dark was in Boston. We had been rehearsing the show for 4 weeks, and I would do Tchaikovsky, and then Gertie would do Jenny. And nobody thought any great shakes. They said, well, you know, they're effective numbers and things. Until opening night. Now, I went out and did Tchaikovsky and leaped back on the horse, and I had no notion that it was going to be as effective as it was. The number ran 38 seconds, I believe.
And in Broadway parlance, it stopped the show absolutely cold. Now, I leaped back on the horse, and this was probably the single most exciting and the proudest moment of my life. And I stood there, and the audience was applauding and applauding and applauding, and I said, oh my God. If Jenny doesn't go over well, then they're liable to take out Tchaikovsky because of... And it was the only number I had in the show. So I was smiling and saying, for God's sake, stop applauding, stop applauding, don't applaud so much, stop applauding. Anyway, I got back on the horse, and Gertie looked over at me and kind of nodded her head. And then she stepped down, and I must say, the incredible genius of this lady, she was really a remarkably gifted woman, and she began to do Jenny unlike she had ever done it in rehearsal at all. She went, Jenny made her mind up when she was 3. And all of us on stage were looking at her. The audience was flabbergasted. And she finished the song, went back on the swing, and it paralyzed the audience. Absolutely stopped it dead. And there we were, within 10 seconds of each other, 2 numbers, absolutely stopping the show cold. It was really a memorable evening. Now, that was on a Monday night. Wednesday afternoon at the matinee, everybody was all charged up. It was a great big hit. The show had gotten great notices. And I stepped down. I did, there's Tchaikovsky, Rubinstein, Adensky, and Tchaikovsky. And I had the sense that the audience really wasn't paying attention to me. So I looked over on the side, and there was Gertie Lawrence in the swing with a great big red handkerchief going. Now, there was no way I could go and say, Gertie, Miss Lawrence, honey, whatever, please, it's kind of distracting for me and for the audience, and please don't do that because it's the only number I'm telling. I couldn't go to Moss Hart and say, look, Moss, why don't you go and tell Miss Lawrence? That all sounded kind of childish anyway. And after the afternoon show, I told Sylvia, I said, look, I'm either going to stay in the show or I'm not. And there's no way I'm going to talk to anybody about this. That night, she came out to do Jenny. And she did Jenny made her mind up when she was 3. And she was having a boom. And there was a laugh where there hadn't been one before. Oh, she went on the number, and suddenly there was another laugh where there hadn't been one before. She finished the number, got back on the swing, and she looked at me, and I bowed to her, and she bowed to me, and she never did the red handkerchief again. Listen, I have an apology to make. That number, for as long as I can remember, had been done in 38 seconds. Now, I don't think we quite did it in 38 seconds tonight. And what I would like to do, if you don't mind, I would like to see if we can establish a new record here in the town of Los Angeles. I'll put it There's Tchaikovsky, Rubinstein, Adensky, and Tchaikovsky, Sapelnikov, Dmitriev, Cherepnin, Kryzhenovsky, Godovsky, Artabuchev, Vonayusko, Wakimenko, Soloviev, Prokofiev, Tiomkin, Gorachenko, there's Glinkler, Winkler, Botniatsky, Rebekov, Felitsky, Metler, Balakirev, Zolotorov, and Kwaschinsky, and Sokolov, and Kopolov, Tukalsky, and Kanovsky, Shostakovich, Boda, Dinglier, and Novakovsky, there's Lyadov, and Karaganov, Markevich, Panchenko, Darumisky, Cherbachevsky, Rabin, Vasilenko, Servinsky, Rimsky, Korsakov, Masovsky, Angerchaninov, and Glazunov, and Sezanki, Kalinikov, Hamanov, Servinsky, Angerchanov, from Shinsky, and Nachmanov. I really have to stop the subject has been brought to power. How many? 31 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, 31 seconds. Now, I want you to remember, in the sleepy village of Los Angeles, a new world's record was established for the rendition of Tchaikovsky. Bravo. Remember that, and you will be able to tell your grandparents what happened on this memorable night. We have to go. So,
Well, where are you going?
Well, you have something else to do.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Try to get home early and get some food on.
And now you can get up and take a stretch. But don't go away, because we have something wonderful coming up.